thing that's small, The story I told that you heard on the tour that I gave, about the Adelie North, the piano playing girl. The the story itself I don't necessarily connect with, but just what happened while I was telling it was what really like
Mm-hmm.
spooked me, if that's the word. Is the North Evans house, which anyone may Google, is a historic home in Austin, and it was originally called Bellevue. And this wealthy family lived there, and their daughter Adelie North, Natalie without the N, Adelie North had died at a young age. And after she had died, many spooky occurrences were reported there of footsteps up and down the stairs and so on. And one of the consistent stories that you would hear, third hand from people, was the sound of a girl playing the piano, which Adelie was known to be good at the piano. And and I thought, like, that's fine, but that fell into the category of a typical ghost story I've heard, which is people say that this happens. Just the farther removed it is, the more it's like, yeah, people say a lot of things. People say Bigfoot. Um, and that's how a lot of us feel, I think, with our skeptical brains is, well, it hasn't happened to me. So therefore, which is healthy. And excuse me. And the long and the short of the story of Adelaide North is that the building was no longer haunted. Like I had talked repeatedly to people who worked in the present day at that building, and none of them had a story. And they're like, yeah, I've always heard that, but nothing has ever really happened here. And so I would describe the building as a no longer haunted building. And then one night we were finishing the tour, or I think the first time it happened, we were walking away from the house where I had told this story and where I had described the house as no longer haunted. And somebody came up to me as we walked away, and they said, "Hey, man, I know, back there with the piano girl. While we were walking up to that house, I heard somebody playing a piano inside that house." And I'm like, you got me. I just didn't like. I had such a skeptical brain. I was just like, all right, cool. And then a couple weeks later, a month later, somebody else came up to me at the end of the tour, and they were like, "Hey, dude, I'm not this kind of guy, but when we walked up to that house with the girl who played the piano, before you even said anything, there was definitely somebody playing piano inside the house." And again, I'm like, downtown is noisy. There's plenty of ways, so staying very skeptical about it. And then it happened a third time, and then it happened a fourth time, and like each time and it chipped away at my skepticism. But I think I was just being resistant because I liked the end of my story. I liked having like an Adelie's spirit has moved on, and wrapped that story in a bow, and I liked it that way for the purposes of my tour. But yeah, this doubt is starting to creep into my mind of I guess double doubt. I'm starting to doubt my doubt about about the story. And then finally one night I gave a private tour to this group of photographers for their meetup. They were just taking a ghost tour, and it's the exact same as my normal tour, but just photos are being taken all night. And I gathered there, and I told the story of Adelie North at the North Evans house, and we moved on. And the next morning, this guy, one of them, emailed me a picture that he had taken of us standing on that porch. And distinctly in the doorway, directly behind where I had been standing, you can see a girl in the shadow of the door, like a human figure, very distinct. And I did the Photoshop enhance, and couldn't detect any copy paste things. It's a very eerie sight. And if it had been any one of these situations, then I would have said, okay, well, there's certainly an explanation for that. But when you combine all the stories I had heard about the place with the 4 different instances of people saying that they had heard piano music inside the house, and finally when I got that picture, I was like, okay, you win, Adelie.